I have hit the start recording button, so we'll edit this first section out, maybe.
I'm just plugging in my laptop.
You know, it's good to have some stuff done. All right. Hem.
Right, cut. Now we're starting.
Perhaps we will. Hello and welcome to One Storyteller, where if the audio sounds different, it's because I did a funny thing of moving away, and now we have to do this online instead of in person. But we're still
Can
here.
you imagine that? It's crazy.
I think his mic works. If it doesn't for the recording, it's going to be really funny to hear me talking to myself and taking very long breaks and pauses. So we're in chapter 10 of Two Towers. It's been a month and a half since we recorded anything because chaotic 2026. But chapter 10 of Two Towers Part 1. We are about to enter Part 2 of Two Towers, and then it will be back to chapter 1.
That's how it goes.
Yes. Thank you. Very cool. That's my favorite part. This is the Voice of Saruman. This is the part where Saruman talks. He has a voice, allegedly. Do you like this chapter?
I do. I don't know. There are some better chapters, or at least I can say chapters I like better in this first part of the Two Towers. But this is our introduction to Saruman, which is important. And I feel like it does a good job introducing him. And it shows Theoden's growth. One of the big things here is Theoden going to give in to Saruman? And when we first met him, he was under the power of Saruman's servant. So that's kind of cool. Interesting tension in this chapter.
Yeah. Would you say this is the part where we meet Saruman? Because I guess we haven't seen him personally before, but Gandalf has extensively described an encounter with him previously.
Yeah. I don't know, even though you're reading all of it, it feels very distinct to me from Gandalf's report about interaction with Saruman, and then Tolkien writing about these people actually being in his presence. Yeah. So I think it is distinct.
Is that primarily because of how his voice is described? Because there's a lot of detail that goes into that part of it, or
that's got to be part of it. Yeah.
It is very interesting. He has some weird powers. I don't really get it, but it's back to the whole magic thing. I kind of, as I was reading, it's been a month and a half since I've read any of this, but
yeah,
I will say there were a couple of hand-wavy magic moments that I just didn't really care about, and it didn't bother me, so I don't know if this is just new year, new me, or if this is like I'm just getting used to it. But
yeah,
something
like that.
His voice is not really explained. It's kind of magical, but I didn't mind it. It was cool. It was a thing. Okay, so we are picking up with Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli had a chat with Merry and Pippin the last chapter and kind of caught up on everything. They set out to go and find where Gandalf and Theoden went to with the rest of the company because they were looking around for Treebeard, I think, was the plot from last time.
Yes.
It's been a while. But they end up finding Gandalf and Theoden. I'm glad I can read my very shorthand notes here because everybody's just abbreviated to capitals, so it's very good.
That works pretty well.
Yes. Well, sometimes. A GT can mean a lot of things, like Gran Turismo or the Grand Tour or a lot of things. But it's Gandalf and Theoden. So they go and find Saruman. Gandalf says specifically he's dangerous. This is a dangerous thing. It's probably a useless thing.
Yeah.
But it needs to be done. So Gandalf already has an understanding that this isn't going to go like he wants it to, but may as well try. And so that's the Gandalf character arc here. Saruman is noted as having a dangerous voice, which will get detailed more later on.
Yep.
There's also a mention up front, and I think I read this right. It's more dangerous if you are lighthearted.
Yeah. Like not sober minded, basically, being an opposite to that.
Is that specifically? It's not lighthearted like drunk.
No, no, not precisely like that, but like not in a serious heart or state of mind,
Is it
or at
just?
least less serious.
Yeah. Well, it seems that through what we see in this chapter, a lot of these people could be persuaded if they weren't so aware of all the destruction that Saruman has caused. And so, is
Yes.
that kind of the idea of it? Is if you don't take him seriously, it gets in your head, but if you like ground yourself in what he's done, then you're more aware going in. Or
Yeah.
I don't know
I
exactly how
think
to quantify that.
I might say that what you're saying is a little too specific,
Mm-hmm.
but it's basically the right idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Because I know Gimli's mad. Like Gimli doesn't fall for it, but he also
Yeah.
references all these terrible things that have happened, and
Yeah.
that's
Maybe we could characterize it just as like wary. Like
hmm,
Gimli, for instance. That's another neat thing that's being brought to a head at the end of this book is Gimli has already begun saying, or every time we've seen Gimli, just about, he says, "Well, is Saruman like you? I mistook him for you. Is
hmm,
what am I going to see when I see this enemy wizard?" And so that's one of the things kind of at stake in this chapter too, and even the power of Gandalf, uh, that distinction he has now with Saruman.
yeah. And then like what exactly does that mean, or what does that look like? Is the question. And I think Gimli says when he first sees him, I guess he's kind of like you, but he's not really like you, and that's
A very helpful, ambiguous sort of phrase.
he sees that they both have robes and beards, and that's about it. Like there's whole
Mhm.
personality difference there. So one of the delegation kind of heads to Orthank's door. Gandalf knocks on it. Wormtongue eventually answers. Gandalf makes fun of him. He goes and gets Saruman, and so Saruman is the real answerer for the rest of the chapter.
Yeah.
How would you quantify, like, how Tolkien describes Saruman's voice fairly extensively, and it's like this. It's a persuasive kind of a voice. I don't know if it's just, is that supposed to be his voice, or is that like a magic that he has that he's using?
Yeah, it's Gandalf has hinted at it a bit before, and if he doesn't clarify it in this chapter, as I don't remember exactly, the next chapter, and even some parts in Return of the King, spoilers, will make it very clear this this is a magic power,
Okay.
but it's something innate to like Saruman's identity. You know, it's not like not exactly a learned skill in that sense.
Do
Yeah.
you think so? It was just given to him. He was just like birthed with it.
Something like that.
Okay. Do you think that the oh what are they called, the gods or whatever
Mhm.
terminology is
The Valar.
that one that one
Yeah.
I've read a bunch of random fantasy stuff, and I'm like, it's not the Eldar. I'm pretty sure that's Warhammer and a lot of other properties. Okay, yeah, Valar. Do you think they gave that to Saruman because Saruman was supposed to be the leader of the wizards, or is that just like
Yeah. No,
completely unrelated?
I don't. The books don't say. I don't know if Tolkien is more specific, but I think that makes sense. Um, what Gandalf is the example of what a wizard should be doing,
Yep.
and he's someone who goes about to tons of different places and persuasively or tries to persuade people to oppose the evil of Sauron themselves.
Mhm.
And so you can imagine, in a good way, a voice like Saruman's would be very fitting for a leader of this wizarding order. Um, but by the same token, you can see how terrifying it is when he's abusing that power.
Yeah.
So I think that your explanation is a good one.
Cool. I like making stuff up and seeing if it fits. That works for me. um, so it is interesting to see the contrast with Gandalf because as soon as everybody hears the smoothness and like the nicety of Saruman's voice, their reaction to Gandalf is, "Oh man, that guy's pretty rough."
Yeah,
By comparison, but Gandalf is the one who's, not lying to them, and so
exactly. Yeah.
he seems foul but feels fair.
Yes, yes, exactly.
That's the I guess yeah, that is right from Lord of the Rings, isn't it? So like that just fits. Um, it's cool to see that. That's one thing that you run into sometimes is people who are more interested in quality of rhetoric than they are in quality of truth.
I was just watching or listening is like a podcast with video on YouTube, and it was a so it was a video. But they
That
were
is how that
talking about
works.
but they were talking about that idea. People being persuaded just by mere charisma or that kind of performative sort of speech instead of speech with like actual quality.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a common issue nowadays. It's always been a common issue. That's what
Yeah.
people run into. It was a common issue in Saruman's day. And there he
Yes.
is. And he tries to use it. And he does pretty successfully use it on all the less important characters. All the nameless
Mhm.
Rohan guards are kind of falling for it, but
Yes.
um, it is interesting. So one weird magical ability Saruman has is he starts out the conversation by saying, "I know two of you," or he technically says at least two of you I know, which would be Gandalf and Theoden. But then when Gimli speaks up, he's able to identify Gimli, son of Glóin. And when Éomer speaks up, he's able to identify Éomer, son of what's his name?
Uh,
I forget what his name is.
Aemond?
Is it Aemond? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so does Saruman just like when he hears people talk, can he just tell what their entire heritage is, or
That's fascinating. Um, I had
it,
not noticed that.
this was one
Uh,
where I was like, I don't really care. It's just kind of cool if that's what he can
yeah,
do.
I reckon it's a more mundane explanation is that he's lying and these are important people. Like his spies have probably found out
Hmm.
who these folks are. Um, I can't prove that explanation though.
Well, then he tricked me because I think it's pretty cool.
No.
Shame.
I something we see later in Return of the King is Gandalf and these powerful elf lords basically are telepathic.
Hmm.
Um, so that might be what's going on here too.
Curious. Yeah, I have no idea. I just thought it was worth pointing out. Um, there's a long conversation where Saruman keeps people keep talking, and Saruman's like, "Yeah, I'll talk to you later. I'm talking to Theoden right now."
Yeah, you can tell just by the rhythm of the conversation that he's in a corner
Hmm.
and he's desperately looking for any sympathy or ally at all.
Yeah, and it seems like he goes back to Theoden because I guess he and Theoden have a pre-existing relationship more than
Yeah.
anybody else.
Hmm.
And also Theoden's the king of that region, so he can command
Yeah.
people to stand
He
down or whatever it
he's the
is.
most important for Saruman to appeal to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost works, it
Yeah.
seems.
It's one of the things we see. I don't. It take too long to look at like every instance of Saruman speaking, but it's fascinating. Like it's it's embarrassingly disrespectful how he's talking to them. He's just laying on the smooth words to people. It's just intensely sycophantic, but it's something that at important junctures he just gives up completely.
Mm-hmm.
um, there's this thin facade over what he's actually thinking.
Yeah. Every time he gets interrupted, he gets mad about it, and so there's like a
Yeah,
flash of, nah, I'm not chill with this. Hold up, you're cool. Let me talk to Theoden instead.
yeah, and also you see it just is despicable. He has such a low view of truth. He's willing to lie about all these different things like it doesn't matter whatsoever. And that's kind of fascinating because that's pretty new for us to see someone who talks like this. Because we're in a noble fantasy world. Our main characters don't do this. Like we've seen Frodo being cagey about things,
Mm-hmm.
Gandalf choosing to withhold information, but it's not that's not really comparable to this, you know. Wormtongue is the only other guy we've seen talk like this,
Man, I wonder if
or
those two are related.
yeah, or Boromir, and he's
Mm.
obviously very uncomfortable doing that.
Yeah,
Uh,
Boromir in his worst moments. Right, that
exactly.
was not the standard, but everything
Hmm.
we see about Saruman has, from Gandalf's conversation back in, was it Council of Elrond?
Yeah.
All of that is just trash, right? Saruman's terrible, and then everything you see here is filth as well, and so it's
Hmm.
he's the first outright evil person, I guess,
Yeah,
that we've
we've seen
seen.
the orcs talk, but I guess since they're like a military unit, they can't
Mm-hmm.
just and they're talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
They can't lie to each other to be effective. Um,
Yeah, but also like they're orcs, right? It's
yeah,
different. It's different when you
it
have,
is.
especially one of the wizards, right? One of the god sent angels, essentially,
Yeah,
come down to Earth and then just decide to do his own thing.
yeah. No, you're
Is
right.
very, very strikingly nasty, and it is cool to see that here, because if you saw it in, like, I know Denethor's not great, right? If you see that in Denethor and then later see it in Saruman, then you might be tempted to say, "Oh, Saruman's just like Denethor," but as it is, it's really, the angelic being is the corrupt one, and then other
Hmm.
humans after that will also be corrupt, but they copy him instead of him copying them, which is just interesting, like narratively how it's placed in the book.
Yeah, no, you're right. That is really interesting.
So what all do you have to say on Theoden's character here?
Mm.
Because
It's I guess simply it's an important moment for him.
mm-hmm,
Um, Already mentioned we meet him when he's under the power of just the little finger of Saruman,
yeah,
Wormtongue. But here he's not alone this time,
mm-hmm,
and maybe that's the biggest difference for Theoden is back in his hall, back when Wormtongue was his advisor. He thought he was alone. He thought I'm old, I'm useless, I have nothing to contribute, or that's not stuff that's like specifically said, but I really feel like the attitude's pretty apparent. But now Gandalf has convinced him there's some stuff you can do and you should do as a king.
yeah,
And now, because of that choice, he's not standing alone. And I think that probably makes the biggest difference for him. And also, instead of hiding in his halls, he's gone out into the world. And because of that, he's seen this is something you already hinted at. He's seen the evil consequences of Saruman's betrayal. And he's decided he can't just sweep that under the rug.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, the thing that stands out to me is Saruman doesn't have plausible deniability anymore, like he used to,
Exactly.
when it was I'm going to hide in my house and Wormtongue's going to filter all the news to me. Then
Yeah.
it sounds like my people are just being attacked, who knows where. But once he goes out and sees it, and he sees, I mean, Theoden just 2-3 days previously, or I forget what exactly the schedule was, but Helm's Deep is pretty obvious. Like, this is Saruman being a bad guy. This is not.
Yes.
Uh, there's no way for him to hide it, and so I think that comes back to, right, if you're coming to him with a light heart, he's able to deceive you. But if you're coming to him with a heavy heart, if you're aware or otherwise like tapped into what Saruman has actually done, you realize he's not so good after all, and that provides him the strength to resist, which is nice to see.
Yeah. What also in this, 'cause the conversation between Saruman and Theoden is probably the most important part of this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
It's also Saruman. You can tell he's in a pickle. Like what he's offering is not the not. It's clearly not the best option if you think
No.
about it, even for a second. But it's not. It's not nothing. He says you've won a battle, great, but Sauron rather is still out there,
Yeah.
and Saruman doesn't exactly say what he's going to offer. He just says, "I can help you."
Yeah.
But you'd imagine he's going to appeal to Theoden's cowardice again, like he did before, if Theoden did take him up on that offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's
Um,
like Gimli says. He's
uh,
duplicitous in the language of
the words
Orthinks.
of this wizard,
Help
yeah,
means ruin.
yeah,
Excellent. He is a double minded man, unstable in all his ways, is the
he
biblical way to say
is,
that.
yeah. The words of this wizard stand on their head; they're upside down.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great expression. But there's also we talked about just how dismissive he is of the truth. But this is just like the worst, egregious gaslighting ever.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in that it's a sorry attempt, which maybe it is, but also what he's trying to do is just evil. With he's recontextualizing the actual events. He says, "Are you going to call me a murderer because people died in a battle? You started this," which is just crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know that it was you started this, but it was, your family have fought a lot of battles, so it's
Yeah,
just
that's
one
part of it
more
too.
battle, and Theoden's like,
Yeah.
bro, you killed a bunch of kids. That's not cool. What are you
Yes.
talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when Theoden finally speaks up, it's neat. Tolkien kind of invites us to the perspective of the writers around
Mm-hmm.
who it's a clear distinction between true words that don't sound great and these false, pleasant sounding words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's worth noting when Theoden does speak up, Tolkien says he does it thickly and with effort.
Yeah.
Like this is something Theoden uh, had to struggle with,
Yeah.
wrestle with in order to choose the right thing.
Yeah. But it's important to see, right? The first thing he says is thickly and with effort, but the second thing he says is in a clear voice, right? It gets
Yes,
easier as you
once he
commit to
starts.
it.
No, that's a beautiful point. Absolutely.
So the New Year's resolution gets easier if you actually do it instead of flaking out halfway through or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Difficult to start, but not difficult to finish. It also Theoden also has that line, right? We will have peace once you're dead and gone.
Yeah.
We've seen that, we've talked about that idea somewhere before, where you cannot make peace with that which is evil. I don't remember where. Like, I don't remember what
Yeah.
the context
Well,
is.
probably with Saruman himself, if I were to guess,
Okay.
because his fall begins with trying to use the arts of the enemy,
Yeah.
and that's sort of Boromir's mistake as well, right?
Hmm. Yeah. I feel like we've had that conversation. I just don't remember what triggered it before. But
Mhm.
it's that same kind of repetition. Is you cannot make peace with the liar who corrupts and etc etc otherwise destroys people. Like you can't do that. You got to kill that thing, get rid of it.
Yeah, and that's going to bring us to Saruman and Gandalf, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we should
Well,
definitely dive into some specifics. Oh, you got something else?
Saruman gets mad at Theoden and just trashes him for a paragraph, and then tries to go back to being nice to Gandalf. He's like,
But
"Well,
you, Gandalf. No, when he sees, can you imagine how frustrating that would be for him too? I imagine it's a frustration the devil has when we choose to remain in the power of Christ.
mm-hmm,
Is I had you for so long. Come on, why aren't you falling for it this time?
yeah,
Because Theoden was under his hand, and when you're defining yourself by your power and even your ability to deceive and sucker people, like he did with the Dunlendings and like he did with Rohan for so long, it's got a sting when they choose to leave you
yep,
because it's just a sign. Everything that's happening is a sign to Saruman that his power is not all that he thought it was.
mm-hmm, yeah." Nice to see that um,
Yeah.
that fall apart, and it's funny. It's sad, right? Because he goes with Theoden first because Theoden is the most manipulatable. That's probably not a word, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the most like he's vulnerable. He's been there before, and Saruman hopes that he can sway him back. Saruman knows that Gandalf doesn't like him, and
Yeah.
so even his appeal to Gandalf is futile. Like we all know that's not going to happen, and
Yeah.
Gandalf doesn't have that same kind of hesitation. I think it's very interesting when Saruman goes after Gandalf. He doesn't really seem to be convincing Gandalf so much as he is trying to convince everyone around Gandalf that Gandalf isn't trustworthy.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know if that's exactly the case because you remember when Saruman's appealing to Theoden, the
Mm-hmm.
writers roundabout come into doubt. So I think it's the same kind of effect when Saruman's appealing to Gandalf. The power of his voice isn't like a narrow laser. Maybe you could think of it more as a cone effect in D&D terms. It's like there's other people getting caught in the crossfire. Everyone who listens, you know.
Yeah, but even so, it's different, right? Because he's talking to Theoden, he's asking for peace, and the riders, when Theoden says, "We'll have peace," the riders are like, "Yeah, we're going to have peace. That's so great." And then Theoden details what it is, right? And so they work that out. It's aimed at Theoden, but everyone around him is like also longing for the same thing that Theoden is longing for. Whereas with
Well,
Gandalf, it's the idea that Gandalf would come into the tower and all the people start thinking, "Oh, Gandalf's going to abandon us. He's going to betray us." And so it seems to be that he's not even trying to convince Gandalf to bend the knee because he knows he's not going to. They've already
well,
had that whole conversation.
yeah, they
Um,
have.
but
I I, I think
yeah, I think there's a difference.
with the writers, I'm pretty sure they just misinterpret what Theoden says at first
Yes.
because they've been suckered into Saruman's words.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But they're all like, right, everybody in Rohan wants that same kind of peace. And so they
I
would be
see. I see.
grateful
I
to
see.
have peace. And
So
then,
it's having a different effect
mhm.
on the people around than Saruman. Okay, I see what you're
Yeah,
saying. Yeah, that's
I
true.
think Saruman is legitimately trying to convince Theoden to obey him.
Yeah,
And by that, the riders are joining in with Theoden and all kind of wanting to obey Saruman and eventually coming back from the brink as Theoden leads them away from that. I don't think Saruman is legitimately trying to convince Gandalf of anything. I
I
think
see.
he's trying to split Gandalf from the group.
I do think he's trying to convince Gandalf. Theoden was his good plan, and Gandalf is his desperate futile plan.
Yeah. At the very
Everything
least, it's
everything
pitiful.
Saruman says has the secondary effect of spreading doubt. So
Yeah.
you're not wrong about that at all.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, I thought I wasn't wrong. That feels good. Um, yeah, or, I mean, whether he's legitimately trying for Gandalf or not, it's really stupid. Gandalf has been in a he's been in the
Yeah.
situation before, and
And
he's
he
had a
says as
lot
much.
less of an advantage, and he
Yeah.
still said no.
It says the guest who has escaped through the roof will think twice before entering through the door again.
Yeah,
That's a good saying.
yeah, but like there is clearly no hope for this. But Saruman is so like half of it is he's pitiful, and half of it is he doesn't have anything else, and so he just
Yeah.
kind of keeps doing the same thing over and over. Right? It's
He
insanity
is.
setting in
Yeah, it is.
because
Yeah,
he's
that's
lost
exactly
everything.
right. Insanity, digging a deeper hole for yourself.
Yeah.
Is it's interesting. It's something you see. Well, that would probably take too long to paint out, but you see it in a lot of different parts of the Bible too, where people's plans end up failing, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes, most of the time in the Bible, you see people doubling down on that mistake
Yeah.
and not reevaluating. And Saruman is making the same sort of mistake.
Yeah.
Is the powers I trusted in have repeatedly failed me. Guess I'll keep doing the same thing.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Balaam moment.
yeah, sort of like
Oh,
that.
I guess you weren't there for the post meeting. One of the sermons in the meeting was on Balaam, and just a reminder, he is just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the different result. That's how
Yeah,
he works. Um, so it's interesting when Saruman's conversing with Theoden. I know he's wrong, but I can kind of see what he's trying to do. When he's
yeah.
conversing with Gandalf, you're just like, no, that's not. No,
And
it
it's
doesn't work.
his arguments toward Gandalf are very revealing of his own character.
Yeah.
He says, Gandalf, you're so much greater than these people. What are you doing with them? And so that's a really fundamental difference. This is Saruman, who's looked at the greatest power in Middle Earth and tried to copy him,
Hmm.
Sauron. And this is Gandalf, who hangs out in the Shire for ease of mind and for fun.
Yeah. Well, it's also right. Saruman used to take joy in the little things and walking
Yeah,
around Fangorn and enjoying the trees and stuff. But he thought he was better than that. He stopped doing that, and that's one of Treebeard's triggers of like, oh, he doesn't spend time with us anymore, and
yeah,
that's what signifies that he is less good. People who think they're too good for whatever situation is where Saruman ends up planting himself.
yeah. It's a red flag for sure.
Hmm. I do like that Gandalf turns around and you missed your path in life. It's just a great
It's
way to say that.
it's a sick
Uh,
burn, man. He laughs. You should have been a jester.
yeah, unfortunate, but
Yeah. Can you imagine how much Saruman hated that? So much. So much.
mhm. Yet even still, Gandalf tries to give Saruman an opportunity.
Yeah. I don't think it's just Saruman being a jerk,
Yeah,
but it is you with someone in this state, I think he's right to observe you got to keep removing that sandy foundation.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I don't take you seriously, Saruman. You're trying really hard to take yourself seriously, and you should not right now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, I want to work with you. I wish we could work this out. If you want to, we can. Right?
Yeah.
That's his statement. That's what he tries.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
stipulations. Oh,
he
right.
says at the end. Yeah, Gandalf has said the same things we've been talking about. At the end of the paragraph in which he laughs, he says, "So Isengard has proved less strong than your hope made it. So have the other things in which you still have trust, or so may they, rather." Would it not be well to leave it for a while to turn to new things? Think, won't you come down? And a shadow passes over Saruman's face, and Tolkien is making it very clear he's in doubt and anguish. But pride ends up conquering him.
Yeah. Pride and hatred.
And
Those two
yes,
go
yes,
hand in hand a lot of times.
yeah. And that turns. You might be laughing or rolling your eyes at Saruman earlier in the chapter, but now you probably feel pity for him
Mm-hmm.
after that part. It's just very tragic, even though it's all self inflicted.
It was pity that stayed his hand in mercy. But this will be very important before the story's done. And stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Um, Gandalf's appeal with Saruman is for him to come down, which is funny because it's both literal and metaphorical, right? Because
yes,
if
yeah,
pride is conquering you, get off your high horse is one of the ways we would say that in the American vernacular, which is you've emboldened yourself way too much, so give it up and quit. And the conditions are twofold, right? You have to come exit the tower. They can't break into the tower, or at least don't
yeah,
try. But I
yeah,
think they can't. Um, the Ents couldn't do anything about it. There was a mention there were like a couple scratches on the tower, and that was it.
yeah.
Even though the Ents,
It's a good tower.
it's, yeah, you said it was like it's Numenorian in origin.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so the old magic or whatever. Um, you can come down out of your tower. You can give up the key, and you can give up your staff. So basically, get nerfed, but
yeah,
you can still be effective in your own little way. And even Gandalf is willing to, hand back the staff if at some point in the future everything works out okay. He doesn't jump right to destroying Saruman.
no,
He gives him an opportunity, which reminded me of Theoden giving Wormtongue an opportunity. Right? It's
yes,
very very parallel, very similar of like you are my
very,
countryman, you're the guy I've worked with, I know who you are, you don't have to be
exactly.
so terrible. Um, but just like Wormtongue, Saruman makes the bad decision anyway.
Yeah, and the parallel between Theoden and Wormtongue being countrymen, Gandalf and Saruman being the same order.
Yeah.
One thing that must very tear Saruman apart is he's the head of the order,
Well,
but Gandalf Gandalf is now actually, and to be being offered mercy in terms from someone who was your underling, that's not going to fly very well with someone in the state of mind that Saruman is.
yeah. Or just period. Right?
Saruman is also, yeah, well,
There's
it's
never an
never going to be
opportunity
easy.
when I want that to happen.
Yeah, it's especially bad if you're Saruman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we also see, just like we've talked before, Sauron can't imagine this plot to destroy the ring because he would never do that with the ring.
Yeah.
And so also Saruman, like Sauron wasn't always evil. Saruman wasn't always evil, but Saruman has become so corrupted like Sauron that he thinks Gandalf wants the same things he does.
Yeah.
So if I come out of this tower, you're just going to steal my staff and be more powerful. And you're probably going to steal all the other ancient artifacts and become a god king over all of Middle Earth. I'm not going to enable that. Are
Yeah.
you crazy?
Yeah, I'm gonna help you stay humble, Gandalf. I'm gonna keep my tower. You don't get my tower.
Yep. And it's a very tragic misunderstanding. But he's just reading himself into Gandalf. He can't understand this mercy or different goal.
Yeah. One of the things I wrote down is evil drives itself insane, dreaming up others' evil,
Yes.
even though it's not there. And so he is attributing to Gandalf all of Saruman is attributing to Gandalf all of Saruman's negative attributes,
Yes.
and he fails to, you know, legitimately look at the situation. He just has an inability or won't engage the ability to look at it from anyone else's point of view and to see objective reality for what it is. And
Yeah.
so he would rather reject that and do his own thing.
Yep.
Rip. So it's at this point, or it's around this point, where Saruman's like, okay, bye. He tries to step back in. Gandalf says, no, you don't get to do that, and just snaps
Yeah.
Saruman's staff.
Yeah.
The staff, he asks for it to be given up willingly, to be returned at a later point, but
Yep.
because Saruman would not humble himself, now he has no more staff, and that's taken away forever.
Yeah.
Depression.
And it's two things. It's what you just described, and it also proves Gandalf didn't want his staff.
It's like, okay, well, yours isn't as cool as mine is anyway.
Yeah. But it's a powerful moment for showing us the kind of person Gandalf is.
Mhm.
Because again, now we see his power is a lot greater than Saruman, at least at this point, right?
Yeah.
When he was Gandalf the Grey, at the very least, this was not the case, clearly. But Gandalf has a greater power than Saruman, and is not abusing it like Saruman was. Um, it's hard to measure exactly what Gandalf's capable of because the power he just enacted on Saruman, he's restricted from doing in most cases.
Hmm.
You know, creatures like the Balrog, he can pop off on on people in his order or equal power like Saruman. He can act like this. He's capable of really great power, but he's not being blinded by it. He's not obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Doesn't use it all the time.
He's a chill guy. Saruman
Yeah.
is not, but that's why it was taken away. So Saruman, he still gets to be evil, right? He gets his own choice at the end of the day, but he's not going to be. Well, there are two consequences for that. He's not going to be very efficient at it because his power has been taken away. He technically owns Orthanc, but like all of his troops are gone and his staff is gone.
His
Everything like
power
that.
has become a prison.
Yes, and also, I think Gandalf, as he turns away, just notices like Sauron's not going to be happy with that guy. So we'll just let
No.
Sauron deal with it. Like, if you really want to be evil, fine. You get to face the evil guy, and
Yeah,
good luck. That's not going to go well for him.
certainly.
So, anything else about their conversation before they turn to leave the tower?
That's all I got.
Cool. Same. So they go away, and apparently Wormtongue had the bright idea to check a very heavy crystal ball at Gandalf, missed, broke the steps. Curious.
Which is not nothing. These are the steps that Ents couldn't crack.
Yes. I feel like glass would probably shatter before that does. So there's something with that. And the ball, rolls away because that's what balls do. Pippin picks it up. Gandalf confiscates it. And they end up heading out. Nothing more happens with that. That's primarily next chapter, is the fallout of that.
Yes.
In the very end, there's a brief conversation between Treebeard and Legolas. Treebeard's a big fan of Legolas, and by extension, he's okay with Gimli coming to visit too. And
Yes.
Gandalf makes sure that the Ents will watch Orthanc to make sure Saruman doesn't escape,
Yes.
is the big thing at the end of the chapter. There are a lot of underground passages. Don't let him escape. And the Ents say they won't. So that ages very poorly.
Yeah. When we get to the end of Return of the King, we'll have some fun following up on this.
Do they explain what happened? Or
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Very cool. Well, I am curious. But Rip Treebeard. Is this the last time we see Treebeard?
We see him one more time.
Is he in the Pelennor Fields?
No. Bro, that'd be crazy.
I'm just thinking. I think Saruman's redemption is at the Pelennor Fields and everything.
Oh, yeah, for
Everything happens in the Pelennor Fields.
sure. Most things, not quite everything.
Shame. Must not be a good chapter then. So I think that's all I have for this chapter. Or that's most of what I have for this chapter. Do you have anything else of note in the chapter itself?
The companions discussing the conversation helps tie together some thoughts, but mostly thoughts we've already observed.
Mhm.
One thing we haven't really talked about, and just maybe warrants a passing comment is Aragorn observes he's not sure. Maybe Wormtongue missed because he wasn't sure if he should hit Saruman or Gandalf. And I think he's making sort of a joke, but not entirely a joke. And I think he might be right. Um, Saruman is not kind to Wormtongue,
No.
and even less so in the midst of all this failure and bitterness. And even less so after he throws away his phone to call Sauron.
Yeah, that was the most important artifact Saruman had, and it's gone.
It's hilarious.
So there's a line
shrill
where
shriek.
yeah.
Suddenly they hear a shriek from the window that Saruman is mad at Wormtongue.
Yeah. Like, well, oh no, and then they just kind of head out.
Yeah.
Cool. So, question.
Yeah.
Adaptation.
Yes.
Very different. Well,
Very.
half of it is very similar, and then half of it is very different, right?
Okay, that works.
It's a deleted scene. It's in the extended edition. Didn't have time for it in the real narrative of the movie. It ends up being, it's the movie's excuse to go ahead and kill Saruman off and Wormtongue because they don't want to deal with the cleansing of the Shire stuff at the very end. Like, they just don't have time for it. And so it's the movie's way to wrap loose ends. I do think the gist of the confrontation it feels very similar in the book versus the movie.
Sure.
The ending where they just kind of kill Saruman, I feel like, or technically it's Wormtongue who kills Saruman, so it's not really them. But then they kill Wormtongue, so I don't know. I feel like it misses the boat on the whole mercy point and Gandalf trying to be nice to Saruman. But
yeah. Like, admittedly, it's just very rushed.
Yeah. And it has to be for the story they're trying to tell. Yeah. If you don't have the ending, yeah.
Things like this, you're just not going to capture in, like, they end up making it action sort of film, you know?
Yeah.
And it's very good for that. It has a lot of beautiful parts. You know, I cry during Return of the King because it's good even though I have some big issues. But yeah, you just can't capture this sort of interaction in that sort of movie.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in a different kind of movie, although it would be a very, very long series of movies.
Hey, we can get Peter Jackson to do a 6-part Lord of the Rings movie. Or a 9-part one. Bro, if The Hobbit makes 3, like, you can go places.
No, that's a good argument. I would watch it.
I probably would too. It would be interesting to see 2 hours of just the first half of Two Towers, and then 2 hours of just the second half of Two Towers. That would be an interesting film. But
it very much would be.
It wouldn't be paced super well because
no,
that's not what Tolkien was going for.
It would put Lawrence of Arabia to shame. But I love that movie, so that's okay.
I'll watch it one day, eventually.
Yeah, well, so the biggest difference of adaptation, of course, you're right, is Jackson's cutting off the scouring of the Shire.
Yeah.
But I think probably we should talk about that at length, but probably not right here.
Yeah. Yeah, everything... There's so many questions about that will get put off, and so that will probably be a very long episode.
Yeah.
If not a couple to actually explore some of the ramifications of it. But... yes, for what they're doing in the movie, I think it's a good usage of the material for the most part. But if you were to put it side by side, it's obviously not going to communicate the same things because it's just so different. Like,
and I'd even say not remotely. It just feels like tying up a loose end instead of developing any kind of theme or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's more so what it is. That's what they had time for. And they didn't even have time for it in the theatrical cut anyway, so it's relegated to the extended edition.
Yeah.
It does always make me uncomfortable when he lands on the spike and then rotates underwater. I don't like that. But
that's very extra.
That was a choice.
And especially putting Treebeard's line there. Oh, Saruman has literally slipped into the water. The filth of Saruman is washing away. I
A
can't
great
take
line.
that part seriously.
Yes, but they get the big magic marble, so
That's
we'll deal with
true.
that next time. So thanks for listening, and we will see you all in the next episode where we actually deal with the Palantir and everything that is associated with that.
Like Pippin.